From the Dog Eat Dog release, that is Warrant, with the hole in my wall. Probably if I have a favorite Warrant CD, that would be the one.
Dog Eat Dog, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it is. Well, apparently Erik Turner of the band Warrant gave an interview here recently.
Okay.
And he basically said that in a perfect world, Jani would be singing in Warrant.
Would he?
That's what he said.
He wasn't when he was still alive.
Yeah, I know. And they've got a very competent and vocalist in Robert Mason, but apparently it's just not as good as the original.
Yeah, I'm sure Mason loves hearing that.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with this. Mark Dean of Anti-Hero magazine recently conducted an interview with Warrant guitarist Erik Turner. A couple of excerpts from the chat below. Anti-Hero magazine, you had massive success as a band in the 80s. Was that difficult to deal with at that time?
Yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah, we had Pussy, and we had lots of money, and we were playing in large venues, and it was a tough life.
It really sucked getting your dick sucked every single day in every city by 2 or 3 different hot chicks.
Right.
And having millions of dollars and, being shuttled around first class everywhere you went. That was fucking terrible.
It was tough. It was a tough adjustment from going, working at the Wendy's to, touring with Warrant.
Yeah, it was awful. I wanted to go back to mopping the jizz at the fucking local peep show, but unfortunately the success made me stay out there.
Exactly. Erik Turner's reply, it was only difficult when there was drama. Like anything in his life, when things have gone bad and everybody's dealing with a painful situation in your life, our band is very hard, and your relationships and your friendships and your families suffer. That's why if you're in a successful band, as Paul Stanley said and was regurgitated in the Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, you got to get rid of your women.
Yeah, get them out of here.
You got to get rid of them. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, not in that world.
You don't take your wife on the road.
Hey, it's working great for Tom Kiefer.
Is it?
Maybe not for the other guys in Cinderella, but for Tom Kiefer. Doesn't he have his wife on the road?
He does. She sings with him. She does couple of songs, and she's backup singer.
Isn't that cozy?
Very cozy.
That's what everybody wants to see. Tom Kiefer's wife singing.
Yeah. It's great to be in any band, I imagine, when the business is good, but then when somebody causes drama, it does something, it upsets other people, then it's a bummer.
Yeah, man.
I think that's kind of in any life, whether you're a musician on the road or just in day-to-day, that's why I live by myself.
Thank God it doesn't happen in my world.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in my world either.
You have no drama at your job, do you?
None at all. None at all. The band's dynamic is fucked for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He said that in an interview.
Wow.
But it is what it is. There's no going back. Things happen, and there are a lot of good times, and there was a lot of bad times in the 80s and the 90s for this band. Time has a way of healing wounds in the short term, and especially in the long term. This is like a non-answer answer.
Yeah, it is.
Some days it's good, some days it's bad. One day you're on top, next day it's on the bottom. But, it's all good, and then in the end, it all circles back around, and it's all fine again.
It's the circle of life, really. You start out good, maybe you get a little bad, but you end up good, because, it is what it is, and, you only go around once in this life, so you might as well smell the roses while they're blooming. What is he talking about?
That's exactly right. Time has a way of healing wounds in the short term, and especially in the long term. I try to remember all the good times when I think back on the 80s. Dude, the 80s were 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We are grateful to be still here and touring and making Warrant music in 2017 for our fans. Well, I'll agree with that statement there. They are lucky that they do have the opportunity to still be a touring entity as Warrant.
Yeah.
Anti-Hero Magazine says, and then, of course, the band experienced a lot of traumatic periods. What's this guy trying to do? Dredge up shit?
Yeah, he is.
A lot of traumatic periods in the 90s as well. There was a different lineup change during the Belly to Belly album in 1996. How would you look at that in hindsight? It was a departure from your original style.
Okay.
What do you think his answer was?
Well, things change for a reason, and, you got to look at everything in its perspective, and, that was an interesting period like every other time, but, sometimes you got to look west to see the sun coming up because sometimes it sets in the east.
When I read interviews like this, and I know you and I have done a shitload of interviews over our time,
yeah.
Why are you digging shit up from 30 years ago?
Yeah. Let's talk about 1979. What were you doing back then?
Right. Erik Turner says, we were trying to fit in. We were trying to reinvent ourselves. We were influenced by some of the really cool music that was happening at the time, and we all really liked Alice in Chains and Soundgarden.
First of all, not to be really picky, but since this guy's going back in history anyway, let's go back to the real history, which is they didn't change their style with Belly to Belly. They changed one before with Ultraphobic.
Yeah.
And then carried it on with Belly to Belly.
That is correct, sir.
Not that I want to lose my metal standing even further by having all this Warrant knowledge, but that's just the way it went.
Yeah, but see, when he's saying we were being influenced by really cool bands, no, you were being influenced by what was being played on the radio, and you were no longer being played on the radio.
Yeah, you were being influenced by going from 20,000 a night to 3.
Yeah.
So you were trying to do what the other guy was doing.
You weren't doing it because these were really cool bands and you were influenced by it.
Yeah, last I looked, Indian Giver wasn't written so that you could fucking stay hip.
Exactly.
Fucking tool.
So some of that stuff started creeping in on our music. It creeped in.
Creeped in?
No, it was more like, you know what? We're not being played on the radio, and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Nirvana and Pearl Jam are. Yeah. Maybe if we put out a song that sounds like what they're doing, maybe we could get played again.
Yeah. And no one liked Warrant and Chains.
No, nobody liked, Doc and Shadow Light.
Although I will say I love Ultraphobic. It's my favorite Warrant album.
Okay. There was a real backlash against the 80s, and it was fashionable to hate the 80s bands and say bad things about those bands from the 80s. But we were fortunate. Jani Lane's vocals, he quit Warrant around that time. We were very fortunate he quit.
They were fortunate that he quit? He didn't quit. They all were fired.
Well, he did quit.
Did he?
Yeah, he kind of up and left the tour.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Let me reread this exactly how he said it. It was fashionable to hate 80s bands and say bad things about bands from the 80s, but we were fortunate. Jani Lane quit Warrant around that time, and then he came back 6 months or so later, and then Joey Allen on guitar quit, and then we lost Stephen Sweet. So we go and get these new guys in the band, and we got a new record deal, and we basically just kept on going.
Okay.
So basically he took the Lemmy from Motorhead philosophy. What's the success of Motorhead? Not quitting?
Yeah, just keep on trucking.
Yeah, we just didn't stop.
Yeah.
That's all we ever done. We just kept on going. Every time somebody quits, like our original drummer and singer quit in 86, that's when we got Jani. Let's see. The singer quit in 86, and that's when we got Jani and Steven.
Okay.
Okay, that was the original lineup, right? Before Jani.
Right.
It's like our original drummer and singer quit in 86. That's where we got Jani and Steven. We just kept on going, and that's what we've done for 35 years. Jerry Dixon, bass, and I picked up the pieces, and we just kept on going. We just kept on going and going and going, just like the Energizer Bunny.
Right.
I'm happy to say since 2004, we've had 4 out of the 5 original members in the band. And we even had Jani come back for a little while in 2008. At the end of the day, we just feel blessed to keep making records and keep touring every year.
That's sweet.
No, that's Steven Sweet.
It's not Steven Sweet. It's just sweet.
All right.
Ultimately, though, dude, have they released an album, a good album? We can argue ultraphobic, but I'll concede that that's not good either because I'm like the lone person on the planet that likes it. Have they released a good album since Dog Eat Dog?
Well, I guess you got to qualify what's considered a good album.
Listenable. Or in your head, you're a Warrant fan, or you were, right? In the day?
Yeah.
Do you like Ultraphobic?
No.
Do you like Belly to Belly?
No, I do not.
Do you like Under the Influence?
No.
Do you like Born Again?
No.
Do you like Rockaholic?
I kind of like that one.
Okay. Do you like the new one, Louder, Harder, Faster?
I haven't listened to it enough, but I'm going to only say the reason I like it is because I like Robert Mason's vocal style.
Right.
He's just a down and dirty rock singer guy.
Right.
Do I qualify it as a Warrant album? No, I listen to Robert Mason, and I think anything from, obviously Lynch Mob. But I think from a Robert Mason standpoint, I think I like what he did with the Dave Henderling and Big Cock.
Right.
I like that better. But I will say that my Warrant listening ended really at Dog Eat Dog.
Yeah, it's kind of over. They haven't done anything that anybody remembers.
They went in a very good direction with Dog Eat Dog. They kind of went kind of heavier, and they kind of got away from the whole poppy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just very heavier driven album. And, that was just the last gasp for an 80s band like Warrant.
Yeah. It's over.
Yep, I agree.
He can talk all his delusions all he wants. They have not been relevant in 25 years.
Well, and again, I'm going to only agree with him from the fact that they've been very fortunate that they still can be a touring entity and still get on these package tours, be it like an M3 or these rock cruises or play a casino or, that kind of a thing.
Right.
They still can do that.
Yeah.
And they're basically weekend flying gigs. They're not touring 5 days out of the week on a bus.
No, they're definitely not.
Yeah, they're not doing that anymore. So Anti-Hero Magazine asked, it's what the fans want to see primarily anyway from the band, most of the originals, if not all the original lineup back together. Yeah, in an ideal world, we all wish Jani was alive and healthy and singing in Warrant.
Okay.
I mean, that would be ideal on so many different levels. He had his demons, man.
Yeah, man.
And I think he couldn't stop drinking, and it finally took his life. You think he couldn't stop drinking? you think he couldn't?
Still out for debate.
Yeah. We haven't, the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, maybe there was another reason.
That's why he was found in a Days Inn hotel room in Woodland Hills Blue.
With a note that said, "I am Jani Lane."
Yeah. Thanks, Waldo.
Yeah, thanks a lot, pal.
Yeah, Waldo. It was horrible. A sad thing for his family, his friends, and his business as well. It affects everything in a bad way. Yeah, the guy's dead.
Yeah, I'd say that was probably first and foremost. He stopped breathing.
Right.
I don't think he was too worried about his business proposition as he took his last breath.
Yeah. I like this next statement here. When somebody has an addiction like that, they can't stop.
Wow.
That's why it's called an addiction.
Sometimes when people go out and they stay in the sun, they get burned. Just thought I'd throw that out there too, since we're throwing obvious statements out there.
Sure.
if you get in the ocean, you will get wet. Thank you.
So there you are. So according to Erik Turner of Warrant, in an ideal world, Jani would still be touring with the band.
Really? How about in an ideal world if they don't keep putting cease and desists on our good friend Billy Morris every time he tries to do a tribute to raise money for Jani's family? Wouldn't that be a nice fucking solution? Oh, am I not supposed to talk about that?
Is that
Am
true?
I not supposed to mention that that's going on every time Jani does a fucking benefit for or Billy does a benefit for Jani's family, that they fucking cease and desist him from using the Warrant name, and that he's not allowed to use the Warrant name as former member of Warrant? Am I not supposed to say those things?
I was not aware.
Yeah, well, that's why he's Billy Morris of Tough now.
Okay. But, in an ideal world, Jani would be singing with Warrant, and we wouldn't have to be dealing with this hack known as Robert Mason.
Look, the only Warrant I'm going to see is Mike Fasano's Warrant.
Exactly.
Until I see that band, I don't want to see these fucking guys.
Right.
I like Robert Mason, though.
I do, too.
Mason makes a... If Robert Mason... See, and that, honestly, if Robert Mason and Jamie St. James, both guys that me and you know and like, if those two guys hadn't been the last two singers of Warrant, would you have even listened to the last two records?
No, of course not. No, I'll be honest, no.
Yeah, me either. The only reason we give them any love is because we like those guys,
right,
not the Warrant guys. Not that, I've never really had a real problem with the Warrant guys personally. I don't like the way they're dicking Billy around, but, that's Billy's business, not mine. But, I don't have any. Even in the day when we knew Jani, did you know those guys? Do you?
I'll tell you, I saw them at M3.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Sweet came out of the hotel. I was standing there waiting for the shuttle bus to come, and Stephen came out. And I said hello to him, and he says, "Hey, it's been a long time since I seen you." He said, "The hair's different."
Nice.
I said, "Yeah, I know. I grew it out a little bit." He goes, "Yeah." He said, "It's been a while since I seen you." So he recognized me right away.
All right.
So I know him a little bit. Stephen's always been really nice. And then, of course, I got to know them a little bit. And same way with Joey Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He still recognizes me.
Okay.
And so I know those guys more than anybody in that band. And, I chit-chatted a little bit with both of them.
Okay.
But, we're not like hardcore bros or anything. It's just like, but they do know me to see me. So that,
okay.
Just to say hello.
I didn't know if you'd ever, had a chance to hang. I've met them all through, obviously, with the Jani and Billy connection. I've met them all at some point, but, I don't know those guys at all. So
yeah, I can't say that we're like buds or anything, but they do know me by sight.
Yeah. Have you interviewed? I don't even know that I've interviewed anybody but Robert.
No, we've had Erik Turner on the show.
I think you interviewed him yourself.
I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't interview him. I don't think I've interviewed any of the four guys. I think I've only interviewed Robert, and that was for the Big Cock record.
Right, and that was before he joined Warrant.
Yeah, back when he was in a better band.
But see, the way that I got to know those guys more was during Jamie St. James' tenure in the band.
All right, because you were hanging with Jamie.
Yeah, because Jamie knew me very well, and he introduced me around and let me hang out with him a few times.
Okay. Aren't you the privileged one?
Yeah, very privileged. I know that Jennifer is frothing at the mouth, just saying, "Man, why should you be friends?"
Well, that's just because the paint chips made her mouth dry.
Exactly.